All right, what's up? What's up, everyone? It's your boy Pink King James, along with my co-host Craig the Poetic, and you're tuning now to the Vibes at the Table podcast. Welcome. It's been a minute since we seen y'all. Sorry for last month. We had a lot of stuff to do, a lot of things. Had to do life. You know what I'm saying? But we here now. You know, thank you all for turning in, and a lot of good things happening right now. The playoffs is going on, and I ain't too happy right now. I'm a Golden State fan. I ain't too happy about what happened last night. I mean, Craig, like I don't know, I know, like you saw it last night. You know what I mean? Like you saw what I saw.
Nah, let's get a game 7. We were too complacent. That's it.
I mean, like all I'm gonna say is, it's do or die for them. It's do or die for them.
They know what it's like, man. They've been there before. You know what I'm saying? They've been there with Houston. They've been there with King James back when he was in Cleveland. We've been there.
True. I agree.
It's no question, man. We know what it is. We know what time it is. Let's just stop playing.
For real.
We good. Enough said.
You know what I mean? I hope Steve Kerr is giving them a good talking to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they need that.
Because he ain't looking happy last night. I'm telling you, he ain't like happy at all.
Well, I mean, they do what they do best, and that's turn the ball over.
Yeah.
They just had to pay the price. I just think a lot of times the Warriors, they give at least one game where they're complacent, where they rely a lot on the home crowd to kind of carry them and push them, and they look to the heroics of Steph Curry a little too much.
I agree with you on that.
I think that in a sense, this was a game that you needed to close the series, and now you left the door open for it to go either way. And
most definitely,
honestly, experience will prevail like it did in Game 5. And I think if there's anything to learn from this series is don't play with fire.
That's true. I don't know, man. Like, hey, I don't know, man. Like, should we do a Vibe Sports podcast too? Know what I mean? Because when you and me, and then when the fly get together, like it's all we talk about.
I mean, we have those moments. Yes. Do I think a podcast is important? No. I think we stick with what we do best. I mean, we can always get together and do special segments, but I don't know if it should be a regular. I mean,
I agree with you.
We've got to sit down, all three of us. Me, you, and Dave McFly. We got to sit down and kind of discuss that more in depth. I think that once we get everybody's input, we'll know what we want to do with that.
I agree with you. But let's get into it. You know what I mean? This is
we got a real one in the building.
This is our behind the pen interview. Behind the pen interview segment, and this young lady coming to the stage right now. I remember I entered a a contest or something for a poem entry. I entered it, and I was surprised that I had that my poem was good enough to make the magazine called the Silent Press magazine. You know what I mean? And I still got the text messages from that day. You know what I mean? Like it just really did me proud that I had sent it, and then sent it as someone our special guest, putting out outlets like that for poets to display their work. This young lady doing a lot doing so much for the poetry community. So without further ado, y'all please give it up for Miss CoCoa Weaponry. How you doing today?
Yeah. If ain't nobody else clapping, just be clapping.
I know, right?
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here amongst, a mega talent. So thank you so much for the invite. I screamed yes when you asked. So yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure is all ours. I used to always listen or watch your interviews that you did with other people, and I liked what I was hearing from different people.
Same here.
To be able to have been a person that you asked to do a similar thing with was actually something that caught me by surprise, man. And but what I wanted to ask you is what made you start interviewing people. How did you get there? I mean, if you could tell us what that was about.
It was about looking at artists, and not just in the poetry and spoken word arena, and we all have a similar thread, and we have some of the most serious same conviction. So there were some that were being slept on, and I am an extreme art enthusiast when it comes to this arena, and I don't think anybody should be slept on, especially when you see their work. You see their work. Everyone should be appreciated. Within the spoken word and poetry community, I was overlooked a many a times, and I couldn't understand it, and I didn't know why. So I have to be that person now that I needed when I first started out trying to get in, to let everyone know that I hear you, I see you, and I appreciate you. I have interviewed some of the most talented persons, and yet to still interview some more of the most talented persons, So I've been asked you last year, Pink Game. I got
asked me all day last year. I know. I mean, it's just the timing. The timing was just she asked me this day. I couldn't do it. I had to work that day. I had to, know what I mean. But like one of these days, very soon, we're gonna get together though. One of these days soon.
I can't wait.
You know what I mean?
And I cannot wait.
I still look forward to that.
Thank you, because you've been on my radar.
I definitely
You've been on my radar.
I appreciate that.
I definitely have gone in depth with, but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to deviate from the.
No, it's okay.
No, you actually answered the question just fine, because you talked about how a lot of artists get slept on. If I could touch on that briefly, I do believe that in the poetry realm, in the community of that, a lot of artists get slept on because of the wealth of talent. I think also it's the criteria in which people are critiquing artists. I think that the criteria in which artists are being critiqued causes people to be slept on. It causes talent to be overlooked. But I also put it on artists in terms of authenticity. I put it on artists to say something that's going to not only reflect themselves, but is going to be attention grabbing. Because honestly, it's a blend of everything. But when you say that about artists being slept on, I totally agree with you. And then being the outlet for those artists who are slept on, I look at how you responded to that. I look at that as underground artists who are in the music industry that you don't hear too much about them because they're not mainstream. Then all of a sudden they become mainstream because somebody who had the reputation or the clout or whatever it is was capturing them and said, okay, that's a new flavor, that's something new, that's something different. But it's one of those things where that person carved themselves a lane. And that's where I think artists and poets they tend to do. They carve themselves a certain lane. Like Pen Game, True. He carves himself a lane. And then, of course, I carved myself a lane. But at the same time, I'm always, like I told you when we had our interview, when you did my interview, I'm always looking to get better from other artists. So for you to be that voice, I think it's important. And I actually commend you for
Thank you.
For being that voice. And honestly, I don't know if I should be saying this, but I know you have an event coming up in the summer, late summer, that you're doing, that you've asked some artists to do, and you're going all in for it. And I think that's pretty cool.
I always do. I have to go in for it because not everyone is into clean and clear poetry and spoken word, and I am big into wholesome recreation. When you are involved in such an eloquent element of art, it challenges an artist to be clean and clear, no innuendos, no profanity, no racial slurs, no political alliances or reference to in your pieces. It pushes them to go very deep and to be very expressive. So I have to go all out for them because this is a platform that who's doing that? No one's doing that right now. Everything is blah, blah, blah. And you just like, I can't listen to that. So,
Indeed.
We have to challenge each other to go that deep into ourselves and express ourselves on a much higher and dignified level.
Very true. Very true. And you spoke on something that I want to touch on. You talk about poetry and spoken word. So let me ask you this question. Is there a difference between poetry and spoken word? If it is, what's the difference?
Yes, it is a very clear distinction. Poetry is more rhythmic. It can be more so in a fictional aspect, whereas spoken word, it is the delivery and it's fact. It's within the delivery, the emotion that comes with it, and everything does not have to always rhyme, but it is always something that your listener can communicate with or relate to.
And see, and I'm so glad that you said that, because a lot of people get the two mixed up. You know what I mean? It's like you have people that do poetry, but you have a lot of them that can't do spoken word, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's very important that that we get a very clear distinction between the two. You know what I mean? Like both of them are good outlets, but it's a total difference between poetry and spoken word. So another question I got from you is, how did you come up with the name CoCoa Weaponry? Like, it's like, where did that come from? Because like when I first saw that, I'm like, that's an interesting name. That's an interesting name. So give us the backstory on your stage name.
My stage name came up from, what year was this? This is when I would perform secularly. And they used to always call me Killer Pistol, which I didn't like, because I used to do slam poetry, underground slam poetry and, poetry slams and things like that.
Right.
And I'm like, I just don't like that name, so they was like, so the guy who had called me up at the Lush in Detroit, they know where it's at. It's underground down at the Lush,
Detroit,
and then we hanging out up there. And he was like, yeah, come on, CoCoa, let's go, CoCoa. He said, that mouth is lethal. and so they was like, yeah, it's like a weapon. And I was like, that's it, CoCoa weapon.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Very interesting.
Well, I was going to also say, too, about your name. I mean, it's catchy. It's very, very catchy. But one thing I wanted to ask you about, we talked about before that. You talked about the artists and their ability to express themselves and things like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? I feel like I probably didn't get on your radar until I started talking about different things related to my son. And I think that I think that drew you, or somebody else pointed you to me. I don't know. But I feel like that's not kind of got on your radar.
You don't see my likes? I'll be following all y'all pages. Y'all just be ignoring me.
Sorry about that,
y'all just be ignoring me. I be showing man.
Honestly, I watch your story.
Before y'all was following me.
I actually watch your story.
And I'm not scared to say it, Craig. So poetic. I ain't scared to say it. I was following y'all before y'all was following me.
In my defense, I tried. I put a value effort. I tried.
You know what, man? Honestly, I listen and I follow your stories. Like when you do put certain things out. In fact, there was one story you posted, or it was like, you put it in a story format. I don't know if this was in Detroit or whatever it was, but like the background was just like a street background. It was kind of like spotting the hood underneath the train viaduct.
I think you're talking about, okay.
It was hot though. And it was like one of those things where I'm like, we got some of that in Chicago too. Like if you go in, you know what I'm saying, you go down the State Street in 21st, like 19th and State Street, underneath the train where the basketball court is. It's in that same Derrick Rose commercial where Tupac is giving the poem about the rose that rose from the concrete.
Yeah.
It gives that it shows that location right there. And so
like the concrete jungle.
Yours was Yeah, yours was nostalgic, if you will. But in terms of
Wow.
expression,
Definitely.
Thank you.
in terms of expression, I'm big on that too. I think um, it doesn't have to be a dark moment. I don't think. I just think that when you are passionate about something, um, it becomes natural. It becomes where it's a blend of both your style and then just how you feel about the subject matter and where it stands. And I mean, and I understand, too. I have poetry myself that I have to pick certain audiences to do, and that comes from me being a secular performer too. Um, there's certain things that if I go to a clean show or go to a hosted event by you or someone else, there's pieces that's like, okay, can't do that one, can't do that one. All right, I can do this one and I can do this. Like when it comes down to you, when you host events and stuff like that, do you at least hear the artist pieces first before you say, okay, you know what,
Good question.
he can do that or she can do that piece, or
No, I
hey
don't.
brother, you can't do that one.
No, I don't. Because what
Really?
happens is, no, I don't. Because I trust my artists. I trust
Yeah.
my artists. And they know what the
Okay.
show is. And they already know. I will
Okay.
cut a mic off immediately.
I'm so glad you
okay.
said that. I'm
It's
so glad
not
you
a
said
problem.
that.
They know what it is, Penn, when they know what it is when they sign up. I don't have to go through that like they 2 and 3 years old. These are professional platform artists.
I
These are
agree.
poets. These are spoken word artists. They know what it is. And it's like this. The segue into doing spoken word and poetry concerts is big. And the audience, they can't wait. So who wouldn't want to be a part of an event like that ever again? Somebody can try to jump bad like that, or just try to pull a rabbit out of a hat. But I'm not having it. We're not having that. So this is wholesome recreation. They can play those type of games, with kids at the park.
Hey, I'm so hey. I mean, tell it how it is, because I remember like some like years ago. I'm not gonna mention like the person or the platform that this was on, but I had a couple of friends some years ago. Was that one spoken word event? I forgot where the place was, but and you would think it would be a clean event, and I'm saying that based on the host during that time. And for a few of my friends told me was that there was a lot of slurs that had slipped out that like nobody said anything that the host didn't say anything about. A lot of a couple like curse words like here and there slipped out. You know what I mean? And
What?
it is and I'll see you later. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
You didn't tell me about that, man.
you know what I mean?
Definitely. And you have to shut that down, because the event, my door is open to all ages.
Man, you have to.
My
have to.
event,
Exactly right. Same thing with this one. You had preteens at the show. It was preteens there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? My brothers and sisters are there. My family is there. My friends are there. All of that is there. And I respect the art, but I also respect the audience. A lot of people don't have literary art discipline. They don't know
Very
that
true.
The spoken word poetry is the oral performance and the art form, not the traditional rhythmic tones, with the symmetry and the haiku. People always talk about haikus, but there are 29 different elements to spoken word and poetry delivery. Yeah, I did have literary art training, but that literary art training only gave me the basics of, the linguistic skill. Everything else you have to just hone in and make it your own. And in making it your own, you have to know how to speak, what to speak, and when to speak it, and on what level. So if you go into an event and quote unquote, if you are the host, you can also be an artist. You got to respect everybody that's in there.
I agree with you.
And that's just what it is.
I agree. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, it's not too many platforms that I watch on YouTube where like, and like, it's not every poet that I like, that I see in there, but you have like some poets who feel like they have the need to, you know, say a curse word or like this and the third, and it's like I'm not here to judge nobody, but at the same time I feel like you can say what you want to say without that. You know what I mean? Like I've seen some creative poets, and I feel like they don't need to do all that. You know what I mean? But like, you know, just like you have some people who cannot, you know, say a full sentence without using some sort of profanity.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I mean?
that's the sad part.
It definitely really is. So it's like,
if that's the case, then Darius, then if that's the case, to be honest, Darius, spit something. Not playing.
I got my notebooks in the bag, man. I mean, like, don't have me. You know what I'm saying? I feel a whole library full of stuff, man. I mean, come on now.
Honestly,
and here's my name. What is my name?
To Pen Game's
exactly.
point, you know what I'm saying? To Pen Game's point, my whole thing is the level of talent as an artist. The real test is, can I do a piece where I don't have to have those things in?
Exactly.
True. Can it still be on point to where I don't have to have those things in? And it's not that it takes a special talent; it just takes consideration.
That's it.
Very true. Very true.
It goes to reading the room, and honestly, reading the room is a big part of whether or not. Well, it's a big part of how effective your piece will be.
You think so?
Yeah, I think reading the room is a big part of it.
I can see your point. Okay,
like,
I see your point.
Honestly, I'm put it like this: if I go into a room full of sisters in there, I'm dropping a love poem. I'm not going to go in another direction. I'm going to get to something that's going to reach them and touch them. I'm not going to pick any other subject or lane because I know what's out in the audience.
It's a challenge.
I know what's in the audience.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
That's a challenge.
I look at the audience. And I don't want to say it like I'm being biased or nothing. It's just more like an example of how you read the room. And then when you see that, okay, what part of relationships am I touching? Is it something that's going to be like, well, man, that's how you feel? Or is it more like...
But if they don't want to hear that? You don't know what they want to hear.
Exactly.
And Craig, that is true. That is true.
You gotta go with your gut.
Because you got
to go with your gut.
Right. So even if you do try to read the room, Pen, like if you go into an audience, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this piece on water. Okay, give that piece on water. Even if you go into an audience and you got 30 guys and you got 10 females, give that piece on whatever you feeling. You cannot box yourself in, because at that point now you allowing yourself to be dictated on what you see. Your delivery comes from within, and once you start inhibiting yourself, there's no transparency. There's no interchange of emotion when it comes to the delivery. It's not going to be a stellar because you're trying to see, well, is they feeling this or is they feeling that? You can't concern yourself with what they feeling. All you have to do is concern yourself with what you're about to give, because you're going to touch the person when it all just comes authentically. You know, it's like with comedians. The comedian don't know what the crowd is going to do. They're just going to tell a joke.
That's true.
And that's true too, CoCoa. I gotta give it to you on that one. Real quick, just to say what you just talked about for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that's important as well. I guess what I'm saying is that when I read the room, I kind of have about 3 or 4 pieces that I know I'm gonna go.
Okay.
And because I mean, honestly, you can feel. Because for me, sometimes what's happened to me is I'm like, man, that piece is dope, but I might do this one because I like this one better. I think this is all me. Like sometimes, and you don't want to confuse yourself with what you want to do. It's more like you can still get up there and you might think like, okay, yeah, that one's dope too, but I'm going to do this one. And it could be one that you have either done before that no one's heard, or it could be something that's totally fresh that no one has ever heard, that you've never performed. And I think, honestly, for me, I'm more of a metaphoric artist. Like, I can take something as simple as water and turn it into a complete metaphor.
And
So
that's how it's supposed to be. That's
Right.
how it's supposed to be. That's what artists
True.
do. You know what I'm saying? It's
So-
like with the challenges that. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off.
Who's on your? So this is just a question I'm giving to you. 'Cause I've been wanting to ask you this. So who is on your list of artists that you have seen do this very thing recently? Who have you seen do this?
Do what?
Take something as simple as a subject matter and they turn it into a metaphor that had you like, wait a minute, let me. What did he say? Or what did he say? Because
Tony Gas.
you spit quotes back to me on stuff that I've written. So that's the reason why I'm asking you.
Because I'm a fan. You know what I'm saying? It's like reading a book. When I hear poetry, I'm like, wow, that's because it gets the creative juices going. Like, I wonder what was the inspiration for this? What was the motivation to write it this way? I love those things. Not that, because sometimes people listen to other person's pieces, like other people listen to music to get inspired to write their own music. I get inspired at other artists doing their thing. I love it. So in that aspect, when I am a fan, I do take note of the things that you say. I do take note of the things that are written. It's just like with Pen Gang with the weekly push, you know, and I'm like, he be challenging me because it's like, I got to do this on the spot. And I love that. Like, I really love that. LUV that like so much because that's like on the spot. That's the impromptu artist being pushed to the limit. What do you think about this subject? Let it go. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because sometimes, you know, people can take a day, 2, 3 days, up to a year to finish a piece. But when he was like, keep it short and brief, and it's like, oh my goodness, he gave me boundaries. Like, how do I do this? You know, you go from a limitless and boundless writer and reciter to I got to do this. You're actually pushing people. So within those parameters, you're able to really come up with something on the spot. Father, mother, family, all of those things. You know what I'm saying? All of those different challenges that you give every week. I try to be very involved with them because I love being pushed because I am a fan of the art.
I appreciate that. And like, I just, you know, I got that from.
You getting the kudos right now, bro.
I'm saying right. I know, right?
Getting the kudos,
I know, right?
Man. We ain't talking about the bars in the box at the store. We talking kudos, man. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, look. Thank you. You know what I mean? But like, when appreciate you. You know what I mean? Like those type of things, I feel like, cause I got that from like watching, you know, stuff like Freestyle Fridays from the One System Part days and just you know, seeing you know, them freestyling off the top of their head about different things. I watched a documentary about MCing. And I remember watching, it was an early clip of The Roots and Questlove. It was Questlove and Black Thought. And Questlove threw a random word at Black Thought to rap about, and in like 5 or 6 bars, Black Thought just kept going. Trash. He was pointing to everything around him, and like Black Thought was just going. If you know that, but if you know Black Thought, it's like it's like juggling with him. You know what I mean? It's like it's easy with him. You know what I mean? So I want to create that same feeling when it comes to poetry, when I do my poem challenges each and every week. You know what I mean? I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like thank you. Just like take, you know, from Friday to Sunday, you know what I mean, just to come up with a short poem to write about. Yeah. You know what I mean? I feel like,
and it's not that easy.
True. You know what I mean? It definitely like pushes you. It definitely like pushes you as a spoken word artist to really think and have to like really like take your time to write something like but just like, you know, like 5 or 6 lines. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I mean, to me, it's like I mean, to me that it's like lyrical exercise for me. You know what I mean? Because I love being challenged.
You've thrown out, just to that point though, Pen Game, you've thrown out subjects, and I would see him post it, and I look and I'm like, what kind of mess? Like,
oh wow.
Like I don't ever text it to you, but I'd be like, all right, man. But for me lately, it's not just been poetry for me. It's been me like taking parts of my life and building quotes off of it. Like, for example, there was one quote that only CoCoa liked. And I didn't care who did not like it, because I felt at the time that I was speaking about it, I said never confuse understandable with excusable.
I remember that.
And what I meant by that is, you can understand why a person takes an action, but it does not excuse you when it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, I don't care but whether you felt that was the right action. I understand why you did it, but that doesn't make it right. So that's why, and I feel like a lot of times people think that because they believe that it was appropriate to them, that it was okay. And what I'm saying in that is, don't confuse understandable with what you believe should be excused.
Yeah.
And that's
kind of that, and the whole other thing about that, and that's why I say a lot of times I'm delving more into building statements off of what I've seen with life. And those statements give birth to pieces that I write.
Yeah.
And that's
that makes sense.
I'm taking subject matters where people take this very same thing as an excuse, and then I'm writing on it. I'm the type of guy who doesn't duck smoke. I duck no smoke when it comes to writing.
You shouldn't as an artist, because it's not about nobody else. It's about you as an artist.
I agree.
Exactly.
I appreciate that, because sometimes
artists
do. Sometimes artists do. They'll bring their pieces down. It's like freedom of expression. I remember in a piece that you wrote, pen, I think it was the culprit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was dope, man. That was actually dope.
Was a deep.
Okay, right. I got you. Okay.
You gave a lot of freedom, some range in there. I was like, okay then, but I ain't gonna go that far. But like I said, you on my radar, and I definitely am looking forward to to having you on there. We got to do it behind the bars on that.
Oh, for sure, definitely, most definitely. You know what I mean? It's not even a question. We definitely gotta do that.
I've been following y'all, but way before y'all had followed me. Not that should make any difference.
That is true. And once again, I was trying. Once again, I was trying. I give a value effort.
It's okay, because it ain't nothing but love, like real fun.
Do you see this?
Nothing but love, like real.
She's trying to make us feel bad.
Never.
It's all love, though. It's all love, though. You know what I mean? But like,
real love.
But like, let me dive into some questions right quick for you,
please,
Miss CoCoa. So I've also paid close attention to you performing, and let me just say, I love the way you perform with these poem videos. You know what I mean? It's like the way the video describes a few lines or a punchline that you say in a poem, and then to see the visual of it, it's like bringing the poem to life. So with my next question,
my videographer.
So with my next question, what's the process when you come up with this content? Like it's like how do you know how to pick a location? How it's like what's the process when you make your poem videos?
I'll recite the piece to my videographer, Cannon Shooter LLC, and he wants to hear it just raw. And he's like, well, he'll ask, the inspiration. If it was an inspiration, or was it just, authentic writing? And then he'll start piecing things together. And then we'll get in the lab, and he like, I think this should go here. I think this is like this. He said this describes this. And he has like this entire album repertoire of all of these places that he's been as a photographer. And he can just call, it could be like thousands. He's like, oh, I can remember. I got something that could go with that. And I'm like, what? And then so we'll do he'll show me, send me the shot of it. Like, this is it. This goes with that. And then he gets with the beat maker, Beats from C, shout out, love C Hodge. And it's like dynamite. Because what happened is, see Hyde or send me a beat. It was like, you got anything to go with this?
Okay.
And then I'll write, and I will write something to it. So, and then just talking to the videographer, and it just all comes together. It's not an easy process because that's not my genre. You know, they do what they do, and then you know, the other guy, he does what he does, and I do what I do, and then it just all just match up. But when you have team and support, it all will just come together. And that's why it's so important to use this platform for everybody to know everybody, because I won't work with other persons that are outside the same secular as me as I have in the past.
Makes sense.
Because, you know, I just won't do it anymore because, you know, they're so, you know, not in a pompous way, but they wouldn't appreciate the level of professionalism and cleanliness of the process.
Makes sense.
You know, because even when I was performing, they're like, you can't gram that up a little bit more. Can you get a little more gritty with that? And I'm like, yeah, you know, like at one time, yeah, you know, I would go there. But now, oh no, I respect the Most High, and you know, too many people, too much. No, I'm not doing that.
Right. And that's something that like irritates me the most is like, you know, when it's like, do you like the poets that like all of us have seen that like that we know and are friends with. I see them go to those levels, and once again, without the profanity, without the extra stuff. So it's like when when we see these, you know, clean entertainments of poetry, I'm looking like, how can you look at this and not be entertained? How can you look at this and not, you know, be encouraged to, if you are a fan of it, how can you not, you know, want to, you know, listen to this? How can you not, you know what I'm saying, you know, not like this, basically? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I definitely do appreciate you, Miss CoCoa, for, you know, being one of the innovators, you know, who was, you know, putting on and expressing the art of, you know, reciting poetry that's clean.
I appreciate that. I really do, because a lot of people, they don't, you know, because I unfortunately, I still do other venues and, you know, paid events and show ups and stuff like that. And they already know what it is. Not like I'm this diva or anything like that. It's just 100. It's like, hey, look, y'all know what I'm not, you know, I'll do this performance and then I'm out. Like, you're not going to, no, I'm not staying around. I'll do the performance and then I'm out. You know, if they want to do a slam or something, and it depends on the level of slam. It might be some persons who I done worked with and stuff like that in the past. And then, you know, I don't enter every slam. I don't get asked to come to every slam because they already know I'm CoCoa.
And that's okay.
It's like, no, I'm not.
That's okay.
You know, and I don't mind. You know, that's a good thing. And let me qualify what I'm saying. If that's their level of professionalism and those are the words that they choose, more power to them. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, that's them. I'm not going to box them in, but I can only just really basically speak on what I'm doing and what, you know, my wholesome recreation is about. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. And I
you know, I appreciate, you know, what they do, because they work hard to do their thing, you know.
And we appreciate you. We definitely appreciate you. And I want to touch on something right quick too that, you know,
please,
which is like lead to my next question. You know, and I tell folks this, you know, whenever I get asked this question, you know, trying to create content that you hope somebody is going to like is not the easiest job to do. You know what I'm saying? It's not the easiest job to do. I mean, we all love the poetry and spoken word, and we write and spell our hearts out. But to create something that you know, really hope that a crowd of folks is going to like, is not the easiest thing to do, because what you have may not be appealing to the crowd or some people. And of course, when we, you know, do our poems or whatever, like, we're hoping to get seen. We're hoping to get a large, you know, following. Now, some of us don't get that. So my next question that I'm going to ask you, CoCoa, is, does it matter who and how many are watching you?
No.
Okay.
at one time when I got reacclimated with Instagram, I was concerned about how the likes, the shares, the plays. Once I let that go, I'm like, am I doing this for them or am I doing this for me? This is just an avenue that I use to showcase my love of this art. Once you get out of that, the sky is the limit, you know, because I'm not doing it for them. I do it because I enjoy it. And even if nobody likes it, even if nobody, quote unquote, shares it, they're watching regardless.
True.
Like I hear people even come to me and say to me, "Oh man, I like that piece," and I'm just like, I didn't know that they, you know, like they was on the IG, and it's like, but you know, I don't follow you, and I'm like, oh, okay,
right.
You know what I'm saying? They watching you.
All right, whatever.
They watch you. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't know, they watching you. They watching you. I'm telling you, they watching you.
And I'm telling, and like I remember that because I remember this week you sent me a video clip of one of my favorite rappers, Tyler the Creator, and I remember when, and I still can't believe this, like he was saying like he was on YouTube following, and I wish I could remember the artist that he said, but it was an artist that he saw a video of, and it only had 7 views, but he liked it.
Yeah, he loved it.
You know what I mean? Like he loved it. Now, like I can't recall if he said or mentioned that he had, you know, got in contact with the artist and started like
he got in contact
working with them.
And the sky was the limit. They worked, and they still work together to this day.
And I'm glad to say that because it's like, are we as artists, are we caught up on how many people are watching us or who is watching us?
Some do.
Because of,
Some do.
You know what I'm saying? Because of, if I'm doing video and it only gets like 7, 10 like views or likes, but someone like Pharrell Williams is like watching it, and he contacts me, and you know we work together. Am I gonna be so caught up on only getting a few views or someone of we're gonna say a music celebrity status wants to work with me? You know what I mean? It's like it's not so much about, you know, a whole crowd of people watching you. I mean, like in my opinion, it's all about who is.
Yeah.
Well, you know what though? Honestly, Darius, it brings me to say this. It's not about quantity. It's about quality.
Facts.
So I don't care about the number of views. I care about the people who view it.
Right.
I'll say it one more time.
Say it again.
I don't care.
The people in the back.
Say it again. Say it in Spanish. Say it in sign language. Say it Portuguese. Say all that.
I care about the people who view it.
Yeah.
I don't care about how many. It's who views. And honestly, what you described when you talk about like just in a scenario situation is exactly this principle. See, what a lot of people don't understand is that I got this many people watching me. I got this many people watching me. But in what content were these people watching? Were they bored? Were they just looking for something to be into and they just happened to watch your video because they were bored? See, a lot of times
makes sense.
People just want to be entertained. So if you're getting these views, it's probably because they want to just be entertained. You ain't doing nothing.
And hashtags. Don't forget the hashtag.
Oh yeah, the hashtag.
Well, my hashtag will say you ain't doing nothing. But it's one of those things where, honestly, I mean, just being straight honest, a lot of times people, I look at people who say, man, thanks for giving me all these views. Or I might get like a Facebook notification or Instagram notification that's telling me how many people viewed my video. And it's cool, but at the same time, it's more like, I only look at who viewed my video. I don't even look at the number. It's more like who viewed my video.
Right.
Like just now, I just rattled off a quote or some type of poem or poetic quote that I just put out on Instagram, and I tag people. And my thing is, I only tag people who I think would appreciate what I'm doing.
Right.
I don't tag people to just tag people.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. That
I
makes
tag
sense.
people with people that I know will look at it and say, "Man, you know what? That's dope." Or, you know what I'm saying? Or,
Right.
I've been
Very
told.
true.
I've been told before, even amongst others, like when my piece has been whacked. I've been told.
Me too.
Like, they'll tell me, they'll say, "Man, you know what? You can come harder."
Is that,
If that's what you put out, how they gonna tell you your stuff white?
And so,
but I mean, it's just what it is, man. And like, I took it as I wasn't offended by it. I took it as like, man, maybe there's something dumb that's missing out of it. Like, have you ever written a piece that you wrote on accident, but the piece was actually better because it was an accident?
Quite a few times for me. Quite a few times.
Like, I remember one time I posted a piece that I wrote on accident, and this guy was like, "Yo, that's the piece you need to be performing. Take this down. Don't post this. You need to perform this." And I was like, "Why?" He said, "No, this is the piece you've been wanting to do. You've written stuff, but this is what is your piece." Like, kind of like when CoCoa was talking about how our videographer would come with ideas and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And CoCoa was like, "What?" But like, it's one of those things where that was my moment where I was like, "What? Oh, I was just talking about this," but it was an accident. It was an accident, and quite frankly, it turned into a piece that I performed that people remember because of the content and because of how I performed it. So it's like it's just so crazy, man. Like how, but like I said, when it comes down to viewing and viewership, man, if it gets the right set of eyes, forget how many viewed it before.
Yeah,
I totally agree with you. So and I want to say this too, that that I think all of us need that friend to be honest with us when it comes to our art. You know what I mean? Like, it's a fellow poet, and shout out to him, shout out to the strategy. I remember when, like, years ago, he gave he gave his take on a performance I did, and he didn't like how it had came off. And at first I was offended by it. Not gonna lie. I just didn't see like his point. But the next day we talked again, and I saw his point. And I remember he said something to me that I would never forget. I still recall it from. I still think about it to this day. He said that you could be the best poet in the world if you didn't care so much. And it stuck with me. Because at that time, I felt like I did care. I felt like I was so concerned about the crowd more than me just giving off this poem that I had wrote and had practiced on. So, I think, there's nothing wrong with a friend being honest. Not disrespectful, but honest. Like what Deion Sanders said, like, it's like, he said that, Deion Sanders said that I can be honest, but not disrespectful. And I feel like not so many of us can master that type of quality, but when you can do that, I swear, like, you can help so many people, and if you're receiving that, that can help you grow as a person and as an artist as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And another question I got for you, CoCoa, is so. Well, it's actually two. So, like, where you from, and does your environment, has that been an influence on your poetry?
I am from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay.
Detroit raised, and now I'm in Ohio.
Okay.
So yes, my environment does and has played a part in my delivery and writing style. I started writing when I was 11 because I couldn't understand a lot of different things, and things that I didn't understand would make me angry, and I would fight.
Oh, okay.
So my mother was a poet herself, but my mother was a silent poet. She wrote poems that are in existence today as anonymous. That was her name, Anonymous.
Yeah, okay. Shout out to Mama CoCoa.
I know, right? So I would just write those things out, express myself. So, and then I had to learn how to take the emotion out of not understanding situations, putting the emotion into the pen.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, my environment did, how I grew up, some of those things do. But I'm inspired by creation altogether. So things that are in creation inspire me to remember certain things, inspire me to write about certain things, and turn them into something that a person could relate to, like a modern day something that a person could relate to.
Oh, okay.
Shoes, so to speak. In my shoes, that was one that people could relate to. So, and it was all outdoors.
Oh, okay. Okay. And my last question I have for you, Coco, is what advice would you give to upcoming poets and poets that are that are under the radar? What advice can you give to those poets? Poets who are up and coming, and poets who are, we're gonna say, barely seen.
Right. Write it all down. Don't get caught in the concept of who will receive it and who won't. When you write from the heart, you receive. And never ever be too hard on yourself and doubt your writing skill. Associate or mentor with persons who have had the literary art discipline. I think that that's very important. Even though I don't speak on that a whole lot, like that's important to learn some of those linguistic skills and how to harness in on some of the symmetry and some of the metaphors and some of the categories within this writing. And then you will develop your own swing on it and it becomes something so great. They have, like, I've interviewed quite a few persons who have not had the literary art discipline, and they are stellar artists. But you look around at their circumference of associates, they are the ones who have had the literary art discipline. So in essence, they're still taking that class because they're honing in on people who have had have taken the classes, who have, been to the performances and things of that nature and gone, ahead. So they're actually really gleaning from those who have done the work.
Okay.
You know what I thought?
And they're probably like, "Oh no, I ain't never go to school for. I never took a class for it."
Right.
But you're still taking the class because one of your main constituents is a person who took the classes.
That still makes sense. That makes sense because at times, like I mean, like that makes sense because, like, because like back in the past, I felt like I felt so bad that when I was in high school, I didn't go to a school that like catered to the performing arts. You know what I mean? Like a Juilliard or like something like that. And like to this day, sometimes I wish I would have had did that. You know what I mean? But like all stuff that I learned today from a poetry, I've learned like hands on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's the best way.
From like friends and just like watching other people do it. And I did so much to a point like, I started to write poetry at 16, and like through the years I just learned how to master writing, learning about punchlines, wordplay, scheming in my writing, you know what I mean, performance, you know what I mean, double entendres. I mean, all that stuff I learned about watching other people. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? But like, if you go to school for that type of art, I'm all for it. But if you haven't and you're learning by watching other people, that's okay too.
That's okay too.
You know what's so funny about that, Darius? Honestly, this is something that neither of you know this.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk about performing arts, poetry was not number one for me. It wasn't. I was an actor.
Oh yeah, right on that.
And dance was what I did.
Okay.
I did swing dance. I've done stuff like that. And performing arts gave me that lane. But as far as writing with the pen, I always wanted to be a beast at that. So for you, Coco, the fact that you talk about putting thoughts down and other things like that, I thought you probably like, well, the advice I have is y'all should follow me. I was like, but no, but seriously, I think it's what you are doing is incredible. I think that what
Indeed.
you're doing is going to allow for more artists to embrace the limelight. It's going to help them to be more open. I think as an artist, it's important to always be open. It's always important. But at the same time, before people get in the water, they kind of like to see who else is in first. And that's what a lot of people do. And I'm just being honest because that's what happens a lot. And I'll tell you what else. At the end of the day, we need people like you.
Indeed we do.
To be able to go out there and pull artists who may not be as willing to embrace, themselves as artists and be comfortable in their own skin. I think that's so important. And you have certainly graced us with your presence this evening, but
most definitely you have. Most definitely you have. Most definitely you have.
You have also given us some gems to walk away with.
I hope so.
Definitely,
I hope so because I'm ready to lay down some work. And
oh, definitely.
Put a bug in your ear.
You know what?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because she said that. No, because she said that, she now has to do that before we end the podcast.
Okay.
Do what? A piece?
You have to do something, man. You have to do something, man.
What you want me to do? What you want me to do?
You have to do something.
I do something. I do.
Can be short. I
do a quick little short. Let's see. What is it? I got one. This one was inspired from creation dragonflies. So
okay.
I have to get my beat together in my head.
I got you. Okay, no problem.
Dragonflies. Dragonflies chase the light. Dragonflies need light like fish flies need water. Are they the same? See, they're patriots in the game, spinning for life, while you dragging the wise to a mate's might. I don't have the wind capacity to blow you away, so I'll just tell you to watch what you say. The words that I have can curve your nerve like an airbender swerve or darts to the deceases that were once flown, these creatures of the earth. See, these are dragonflies who are not dragon lies because they drag and they fly. Who knows their worth? Within the circle of life. Did they have kids or maybe a wife? Similarly, I am the MD. I'm ready to perform strategically a D&E. And let me be mindful of my audience. That is a dilation and extraction from a post beater to a bottom feeder from what you could never read her. See, that's a dragon line from a dragonfly who's flying above the lines that demise. So why can't a person just leave her alone because they're so gone and they can be so gone because they're like beams of light? Dig this. Drones fly around searching for light. Dragonflies spin around the light. And dragonflies are alive and they do freedom depths and their freedom dive. And they die in the cold by no water's fold. But fish die in the heat of night, in the coldness of water's night. Something like that. So
nice. Nice.
It's a deep piece. It's all over the place, but y'all heard it here first. I'm going to perfect it. So
it was good.
It's chaotic in your head, and then once you put it on paper, it all comes together. I'm bound down
right now.
Oh, hey, please don't
no idolatry here, but
giving you flowers on this side. Give you all your flowers on this side. All your flowers on this side.
I heard it first.
I'm bound down over here because that was ill. I like that.
Definitely was. Definitely was.
Heard it first.
You know what I mean? So before we sign off, CoCoa, let everybody know where they can follow your work at, what you got going on, and things of that nature.
All right. CoCoa Weaponry on Instagram at CoCoa, CoCoa, WEAPONRY, CoCoa Weaponry. Spoken word, poet, platform artist, book writer, all of those things. Even though my book, I pulled that off the shelf. It's and artist infringements, because I had to hurry up and let that contract die out before I started working and doing anything else. So done with that. The title of my book was Meanest Thou Ever. It's a high heel saga. And the book was related to a woman's life from infancy to adulthood, starting with Baby Alive, mannequins, Barbies, cornstarch dolls, everything. Every chapter in the book was a doll.
Okay.
So have some upcoming Zoom slams coming up because I have formed alliances and made friends with all these wonderful poets around the world, and sometimes they just can't come to the in-person show. So I have a Zoom slam coming up next month, and I do also have a live concert, poetry and spoken word concert in August in Detroit City.
Shout out to Detroit.
And I'll be there for that. Definitely look forward to it. I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna touch the city.
Oh, okay then.
So he ain't lying about that either.
The city is going to receive you kindly. The city is going to receive you kindly because Detroit got mad love for poetry.
Definitely do. And I'm
touch the city.
And I'm jealous that I'm so jealous that I've never been there to perform.
Get out of here.
I've been to like Detroit, but I've never like performed in Detroit. So like hopefully like one of these days I could like, go there and like perform. You know what I mean? But yeah. So we about to close it out. Mm-hmm.
You will be on one of my concerts. I guarantee you that, Pen.
I appreciate that.
I guarantee that. Put your money on that.
Appreciate that.
You're gonna know what's in.
Bring you and the missus on down. It ain't gonna be nothing but love. Come on through.
Appreciate
y'all
that.
Come on through.
Hey man, y'all got any good food out there though?
What do we? National Coney Island. What you want to eat? They got food.
Food for that. They do.
Cause I tell you one thing for sure about me, man. When I go out of town, I like to get something nice to eat. But one thing about me is I'm a total lame. I don't go nowhere. I stay in my hotel a lot.
You gotta be more positive, sir. You gotta be more positive, sir.
I stay in my hotel a lot. I mean, don't mind me, man. I like when I'm not if I'm not in the city that I'm familiar with like that.
Well, you will definitely have to come out with all the friends that's gonna be there. You will come out to the meet and greets and all of that good stuff. You have to come out. Definitely. So if you coming to stay in the hotel, stay in Chi-Town, sir.
I put you this way: you guys are not gonna even know I'm there.
That'll be your loss.
Until the event.
Be your loss.
Until the event, you won't know I'm there.
That'll be his loss.
I know, right?
I'll be wearing different disguised outfits.
I mean, I just know whenever I touch down there to perform, I'll make my presence known. Before the stage and when I get on stage, I'm gonna let my presence be known.
This dude has a whole theme song to him when he gets into a city. Like,
all the time, got to, man.
I mean,
Kendrick Lamar, the city.
It's like straight out of Beretta, man. It's straight out of Beretta.
I cannot wait to share the stage. I can't wait. Like, I cannot wait.
No, honestly.
We look forward to it. We look forward to that.
As close as Detroit is, I'm still flying anyway.
I don't see why Southwest got it. Southwest got
it. I'm flying my butt off.
Southwest got a deal going
on. Nothing wrong with that.
I'm flying my butt off. I'm going to hop into an Uber. I'm like, look, this is the hotel I'm staying at.
Come on.
I don't want to drive nowhere. I don't want to drive nowhere when I'm out of town.
Detroit is a loving city. If y'all know anything about 2014 went down at Ford Field, y'all know Detroit is a loving city.
I got to ask about some people from D-Town, man.
Detroit is a loving city.
I know a few people. Shout out to Detroit. You know what I mean? But we about to sign out.
Some friends down there, man.
We about to sign out. Thank you so much, CoCoa Weaponry, for joining us. Check us out, man. PVE on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok and YouTube. Know what I mean? We do a poem challenge each and every Friday through Sunday. You know what I mean? We pick random topics and we encourage poets to make poems on them. So if you're if you're a poet and you love to write, check us out on our social media pages to participate in our poem challenges. All right, so this is Vibez at the Table podcast.
We're in the building one more time, baby.
Indeed.
Thank you so much.
In the building. Hey,
y'all are amazing artists.
Like we always say, man, it's a pleasure to have you on here with us, man. We're definitely humbled and appreciate it.
Appreciate it all.
Today.
I'm humble. Thank you so much. Anytime.
Guys, y'all have to check out CoCoa, man.
Definitely.
The name speaks for itself, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes to that pen, she ain't nothing nice. She gonna kill that.
She ain't play no games at all. No games.
I'm telling you, I'm ready for that work pen.
I'm ready for that too. Let me know when and where.
I'm gonna touch the city.
And how much time you need.
When I get there. I'm gonna touch the deep. Touch detail for real when I get there.
Yeah.
All right.
This is Vibez at the Table podcast, and we'll see y'all next time. All right. Peace out.